The matchup is set. Tuesday, the Houston Astros host the 3-game wildcard series versus the Detroit Tigers. And an old familiar name comes to town, AJ Hinch, mentor of Joe Espada. We're going to talk about that and how the season ended on this edition of Locked on Astros.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked on Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked on Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Heisman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chansey.
We are Locked on Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked on Astros podcast. My name is Eric Heisman. You can find me on X at Eric Talks Astros. You can find the show at Locked on Astros, your team, every day. Brett, where can you find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on X and on Facebook, and at Back to the Bullpen on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Check us out. We're always positive, always Stros. Man, this is wild. This is not a series I saw coming. I was set on the Royals, and I was like, I don't want the Tigers. They're hot. They're a really young team, but I think the Astros ultimately can come out on top on this one.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked on Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Make us first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out, and go and check out Michael Connor with the Locked on Astros postcast. He does a great job as well. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can't start the postseason with you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. So, Brett, I see this in the comments. I guess it's technically a sweep. We swept the Guardians because it's a 2 games. You won both games. The third game was canceled. For those of y'all wondering what the Astro score was, it was rained out. So game 162 was rained out, so it will not be made up. I know that you had the Met series, which was something that's a little bit more pertinent to the actual wild card race. But in this race, everything has already been determined. So there is no need for this. There's no need to stay in Cleveland for another day. And then both teams go the separate ways wherever they're going. I guess Cleveland's staying there. But this is actually a good thing for Houston Astros. I know that they were going to have somebody else. This is what I kind of speculated. They would probably call somebody up from the minor leagues to, I think, Gustavo. I think that was his name. But he was all set to. Huh?
No, Gusto.
Okay. Gusto was supposed to make the start, but this was a good thing for not only the Astros as a whole, but gives Alvarez a chance to rest some more. He wasn't going to play anyway, but this also gives the bullpen a rest, and you didn't have to use any of your leverage relievers in a meaningless game 162.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no point. I mean, they even completely changed the lineup. They pulled like 3 of the starters out of the lineup because they're like, this is dumb to play when the field's wet. I mean, you're just going to risk players getting injured. And what's most important is the postseason. And if Major League Baseball cares about revenue, they want their teams to be healthy. So here's the thing, Eric. I've said all along that, I really don't want the Tigers because they're young. They're real naive. They don't realize they're not supposed to be as good as they are. But the Tigers and the Astros both have been the 2 hottest teams in baseball this year. In the last 45 games, if you look at both teams, the Tigers edged them out just a little bit, 31-14, the Astros 27-18. Okay. So both teams, the last 45 games have been the best teams in baseball. Since the All-Star break, the Astros, I believe, edged them overall in record. But I didn't see this coming. I didn't see this happening because Detroit was really out of it. Minnesota faded. Minnesota kind of just like collapsed. We didn't see that coming. And, the Royals started losing, and that helped the Tigers get into that position. So here we are, 2 of the hottest teams in baseball, one with a ton of experience, one with a manager that has a ton of experience.
Yeah, and also it didn't hurt the Tigers that the Twins also did a free fall as well. And it looked at the end of the season that people were calling out Carlos Correa among other players for not giving it their full effort. And so I just think at a certain point, uh, everybody kind of sees the writing on the wall. Maybe they're not giving their full effort out there. But I think that what the Tigers have done is great. They have rode this hot streak. They have done all this, but they're still a young team. Tarik Skubal, he's going to go out there and shove. But the Astros have had some success against them. We'll talk about that in a second. But Valdez has to be a game Valdez. He has to be the guy with his head on straight. He has to be game ready. And Astros fans have got to get there early and support them, because this is not a 5-game series. This is not a 7-game series. This is a best of 3 series. So
Right.
if Tigers win the first game, you're automatically down. You're basically on the risk of being eliminated. So it's very critical to get game 1. If you get game 1, then you kind of in the driver's seat at that point. But to go back to your point about Hinch does have a lot of experience with the Astros winning World Series. And I believe I saw this is the 3rd time that a former manager has gone back to face in the playoffs to face the team that he won the World Series with. So there's a lot of interesting storylines with this. I know that you have other storylines.
Yeah, definitely. This is the first time that Houston has played Detroit in a postseason in any major sport at any time. I was thinking back, okay, we never played the Pistons. We never played the Lions. I mean, obviously we don't have an NHL team, so we wouldn't have played the Red Wings. But that's crazy. John Morosi brought that up. So the first time that we play a Detroit team in the playoffs,
Right.
Justin Verlander's on the roster, which I don't think he'll be one of the pitchers. Who's a former Tiger, AJ Hinch, former manager. And then AJ Hinch was the mentor for Joe Espada. And so you have a lot of connections between Houston. Look, and Detroit fans gave the Tigers a lot of crap whenever they hired AJ Hinch, because there was a lot of controversy behind that hire. We're gonna probably tomorrow we're gonna have Chris Castellani on. We're also trying to get the Locked On Tigers guy for like a full series preview tomorrow night, so you guys will have to check out. I will be at our regular time, 8:30, and so that's going to be a fun show. But hey, bring on the Tigers. They're all 3 in Houston. They're probably going to be day games, so let's just get it done in 2. Let's get it done.
Astros versus Detroit. Yeah, definitely
right.
Gonna be day
It's Astros versus, oh, come on, we're not prime time, baby. I think we earned it. 8 consecutive postseason berths. I mean, come on.
No, the Astros don't get anything. So Sarah Lanes did mention that AJ Hinch will be the 3rd manager to face a team in postseason series they previously managed the World Series title with. Terry Francona with Cleveland versus Boston, and also Billy Martin, Oakland, and then versus the Yankees at some point. So those are the other 2 guys. So AJ Hinch does know the Astros. A couple of these players are still on the team from the 2017-2018 season. So this is something he's going to know a lot of their tendencies, and I'm sure he's still friends with a lot of these people on this team. So somebody said that, is this wild card, the best of 3, a new thing? Yes, this was instituted recently. This is a way to get more people to stay active at the trade deadline, to get more teams involved come the postseason. So they've added 3 wild cards. So this allows one of the wild card teams to face one of the division leaders, the number 3 seed, so to speak, and then the other 2 wild card teams face each other. So in this case, it's going to be a number 3 seed versus the number 6 seed. So Astros versus Tigers, and then you're going to have the other 2 seeds, the Orioles and the Royals, battle it out. So that's going to be an interesting matchup there, because both of them are younger teams. The Royals, I don't think anybody saw the Royals turn around like they've done this year, but they've been losing a lot. The Orioles have been a great team. They're just in the wrong division with the Yankees. So we'll go and continue the rest of this conversation in a second. Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. What's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Make us first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Go and check us out.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com today. It's America's #1 sports book. Hey, NFL fans, you can start your season off with a big return. Kind of like Devin Hester, the Hall of Famer, used to do, but with the new rules and the kickoff rules, they don't let you do that anymore. But FanDuel hasn't changed. They've actually improved your experience. You can check out the latest stats, live, play-by-play, and so much more on the same page that you place your bets right in the palm of your hand. That's right. You don't have to go to another website, another channel, another coverage. It doesn't matter because you've got it all right there. You'll get started today with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when, glad you asked, when you place your $5 bet, your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. So place that $5 bet. You'll get $200 guaranteed in bonus bets at FanDuel.com, America's #1 sports book.
Hey guys, you know where to make your first listen throughout the whole playoffs? Yes, it's the Locked On Astros podcast. Go and check out Michael Connor at the Locked On Astros podcast. You can watch us both on your Amazon Fire TV stick. All you have to do is search the free channels app and search up Astros baseball, and you can watch Brett and I on your big screen projector. If you own a bar, you can project us at your bar. Go and help us while you're doing it. So we're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers.
Right.
So go and help us out. By the end of this season, we want to get to that goal. So Brett, I know that a lot of people are worried about the Tigers. The Tigers haven't been to the postseason since 2014. It's been a 10-year absence for them. And even then, I think they're eliminated in the first round. But this is a team that has come, like the Astros, that have come back from nowhere. They've had a slightly better record than the Astros have in the second half. The youth, I would say that maybe they're young enough to not care or not let the butterflies get to them. But at the same time, the Astros just have ice running through their veins. And when they get to the postseason, they turn it on. And you just have to get to the dance. The Astros know how to dance once you get there. You have to get there. Yeah.
Hey, a little veer because we forgot to mention it. And I was going to mention earlier, the Sugarland Space Cowboys won the AAA, they called it the National Championship. I was like, wait, that sounds like college. But anyways, they won. And everyone commented when I posted it, oh yeah, we've got a horrible farm system too, don't we? And all that stuff. So I thought that was funny. But I've got a quote here from Joe Espada when he was asked about facing AJ Hinch. And this is what he said. That's kind of wild, man. He goes, I'm not trying to look at it that way because it's two very good teams. I know he knows our team well. He's been in the ballpark under that energy before. This is about our teams, two good teams playing really good baseball, especially in the second half. I want to keep our focus on that, not about me and AJ Hinch. You know, that is a solid response from Joe Espada. Eric, Joe Espada has had to wade through the muck and the mire. So if I would have told you that the Astros had all these pitchers on the IL, but then once they got to the playoffs, that they had the deepest starting rotation and the most competitive starting rotation, you would have probably said, there's no way. And that is exactly what we're doing, is we're bringing in one of the strongest rotations into the playoffs. But the key is game one. Nothing else matters right now. Not the ALDS, not the ALCS, not the World Series. What matters, wild card game number one. Like you said, Valdez has got to bring his A game. He's got to be on it. The Astros, the last time they faced Skubal, they defeated him at Minute Maid Park. They actually knocked him out. I think 4 runs they scored on him. And so the Astros have shown that they can be. Remember, Skubal was on quite a run at the time in the season. He had won so many games in a row, and the Astros stopped it. And another cool thing. Oh, never mind. We'll get that later. I see it in there later. We got some Alvarez updates, so y'all need to stick around till the end of the show.
And I know that you've mentioned it, I think, but Joe Espada had 2 mentors as a manager. He had Dusty Baker. he also had AJ Hinch. And so he gets to play his mentor. So this is just imagine yourself as wherever wherever you work at. Most times when you start your job, somebody mentors you and shows you the ropes and kind of tells you, well, this is what you do. This is where you go make copies. This is what you do to not let the plant blow up. This is type of stuff. So this is what Joe Espada has learned from Dusty Baker and AJ Hinch. So now he gets to use these things that he's learned over the years. And I love his statement. Like, I know you and I both earlier in the season gave him crap. Fans have gave him a lot of crap. Well, you need to be more angry. You need to go out there and show more emotion. But he kind of addressed that and said, well, I am the driving force of this locker room. I'm supposed to show calmness. If I start panicking, then the other players are going to be panicking. But if I show belief in the team, then eventually things will start to things will start and get better for the Houston Astros. And that's what he did. Does that mean you can't try to rile up your team? No, but Joe Espada knows that the roster, the players on this team, whether they're all going to be back next year, we don't know. I know Justin Verlander and Alex Bregman are the two big names that we don't know if they're going to be back next year. But there's a lot of leaders on this team, whether they're just by their presence or their leadership or their verbal stuff or just what they do on the field. And so that's the difference between this team and I think what the Tigers offer. The Tigers have a whole bunch of talent because, I hate to say it, they lost for a long time. They had a chance to build up a lot of good talent through the draft. The Astros have not had that. And so the fact that they are still as successful as they've been through everything, through going to World Series after World Series, ALCS after ALCS, and everything that they've been through the controversy, losing draft picks, they are still here. And the rest of baseball, they acknowledge that. And you know it, as hot as the Tigers are, they did not want to face the Astros in the first round.
Nobody wants to face the Astros in the first round if they're being honest, because since 2014, the Astros have won 97 playoff games at a 60.8 winning percentage. 60% of their games they've won, 97 playoff games since 2014. That right there says it all. And this team is ready to go. This team will be focused, like you said, you mentioned, and it's a great point. This is actually like an extra day off. I don't have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. We need that. And to me, it sets up, they have announced Framber Valdez as game one starter. There's no way they don't go Hunter Brown game two. I mean, Hunter Brown game two. And if for some odd reason you need a game three, I believe Yusei Kikuchi is that third pitcher.
Right.
But I like Valdez at home against Skubal. Last time we played him, again, we hit him well at Minute Maid Park. Valdez, Eric, is pitching. He's dialed in. And look, even though they've been winning, they aren't known as much as they are for their offense as they are for the pitching that they offer with Skubal and guys like that. So you definitely have some really key pitching matchups. And the defense has got to be there too for the Astros. The defense has got to be there. Bregman's healthy. Tucker's playing the outfield. I heard Chaz maybe swinging soon or something like that. I don't know where Chaz stands.
He probably won't be ready for the wild card series. If the Astros make it to division series, I think Chaz McCormick
may be available. Right. And of course, I know there's people like, oh, whatever, Chaz McCormick, but he's got the playoff experience. Right. He has come up big in big moments. And that really means a lot, because if things go the way some people are saying, if the Astros can get all the way through to the Fall Classic, it could be a Phillies rematch. It could be a Dodgers rematch. It could be a Padres. Or the Brewers. The National League scares me a far more than the opponents in the American League. But like this team always does, they're professional, they prepare, and they're worried about game one. That's all they're worried about.
Yes. So I know that a lot of people are saying the Astros should win this series. Yes, they probably have the better team, but what the Tigers offer is they do offer a better pitching rotation, a better. I mean, not better rotation, better staff overall. Their ERA on the season is 3.61 compared to the Astros 3.74. But if you look at where their hitting is, they really can't compare to each other. So we're going to continue this conversation next. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day.
This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is an easy downloadable app that you can get to. It's free, and they have a new feature called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets to your favorite live event even easier. It filters out the fluff and shows you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to worry about wasting your time going through thousands of tickets. You get a super deal every single time. I use it. You can literally walk up to the stadium. You don't have to plan, or the venue or the theater, wherever you're going, and buy your tickets there. The lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection. Now, they also want you to know that if you find tickets at a lower price in the same section in the same row than what you got on Game Time, they'll credit you 110% the difference. That's right. Why? Because they want more money in your pockets to go to more events. So download the Game Time app today, create the account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB to get $20 off your purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Hey guys, thank you for making us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify. Go and subscribe to us. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers before the end of 2024. So if you can go and tell a friend, all you have to do is hit that little red button down there that says subscribe. Give us a big fat thumbs up while you're at it. And we'll be here throughout the postseason. We'll try to do as many pregame shows as we can. Postgame shows, definitely. But if there's day game shows, I don't know if it's...
We've got the official word. I just found out when the game times are. All three games are scheduled to be on ABC, 1:32 p.m.
That's why I said when we can. We're both teachers. So.
Well, here's the deal. I don't know if you know this. Did you hear who is the main announcer for our series?
Are you talking about the Yankees play-by-play announcer?
Yes, Michael Kay. Michael Kay, the voice of the Yankees, is going to be commentating the Astros playoff games. Are you kidding me? And someone told me, I didn't see him quote this online, but someone said he even said, I don't even like this, but he's being paid to do it. I'm sure Michael Kay will give a fair, objective opinion. I better not hear anything about trash cans or 2017, but oh my gosh, I'm like, could y'all not fumble something? Can Major League Baseball, the people who make these decisions, get anything right? Like, why would you go to the most rivalrous, team, like the team that the Astros have dominated, right? Why couldn't you go to, I don't know. I guess my
knock on wood there, Brett. I'm knock on wood there.
What?
You can't say that yes, they've dominated them, but the Astros dominated them this year. Yes, no. They have dominated them, but that could be a jinx.
They've never beat us in the playoffs.
I know. Until the first time. So that's why I said knock on wood.
Oh, knock on my glass. Look, I've got a glass top desk here. I'm knocking on glass right now because I don't have my wooden bats over there on the wall. Knock on that wood. So hey, but seriously, dude, come on, really? The Yankees, they haven't beat us yet. We
have to get past the first round. Let's go one round at a time, okay? So let's go one round at a time.
No, I was just stating, come on, man. Let me have some fun. I can't stand that Michael Kay is doing the announcing. I guess I'll have to turn it down and listen to the radio. So,
Michael Kay did say that the one team that worries him is the Astros, and
he did. I'll give him credit.
I didn't go to this place, but they say every kiss begins with K. Well, I did propose to my girlfriend today, and she said yes. So I'll put some pictures up on Instagram and X and a little bit later. But she's in the other living room right now, listening to me do the podcast right now. So pretty big day for me, but it's also a pretty big day for the Houston Astros because they now know who they're going to face. So this is the moment where you can actually set who's going to be in the bullpen because of the matchups and everything like that. So I think this is it's good for clarity. Now you can put all the synergy that you've actually built over the past, 2-3 weeks. This is what I said versus the Reds. They were missing that synergy. But now you have, especially in the wins, but you have the whole team coming together. When one facet of the game struggles, the other facet kind of steps up. And bullpen has bad day, then you have the bats coming to life, something like that. So the Astros are facing a big opponent in Tarik Skubal. We'll go deeper into a possible playoff roster tomorrow, especially with the Tiger side, with the other guys. But let's go ahead and talk about what Skubal has done versus the Astros, because it's actually pretty impressive. You have the overall stats, right?
Yeah. The overall stats for Skubal versus the Astros is 1-1 with a 3.16 ERA, 27 strikeouts, and 4 appearances. But like I said, the most recent appearance was at Minute Maid Park this season. The Astros roughed him up, and I think we handle their bullpen pretty well. And then you have the record of Framber Valdez versus the Tigers, 2-2, with an ERA of 2.49, 43 strikeouts in 8 appearances versus the Tigers in his career. So those are career numbers of both pitchers versus their opponent.
Yeah, and so I was looking at what Skubal's done against the Astros this year. I believe this was both these starts in this year. The Astros were 1-1 this year, but one of them was an 8-2 loss in May. Skubal pitched 6 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. And in the other game in June, the Astros won that game. They pounded, let's just say, when Skubal gives up 4 earned runs, that's a pounding. So 6 1/3 innings, 6 hits allowed, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. So you can see the big difference between when he struggles. If his pitches are not on, he's not getting strikeouts. So the Astros need control Skubal, and I think that the Astros they tend to rise against the good pitching. They seem to kind of lower expectations against the guys making their first start. To their credit, the other day when the Guardians had their young guy starting, they actually hit him pretty well. But what has Framber Valdez done against the Tigers?
Oh, I put that up earlier.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right here. 2-2 with an ERA of 2.45, 43 strikeouts, and 8 appearances over his career versus the Tigers.
Right. I was looking for this stat.
That's all good. Yeah.
But I think that Valdez has some good playoff experience. He has some bad playoff history, but he has that history that he can bank on. Skubal, as good as he is, he's probably going to be the runaway Cy Young. And if you look at the top 3 ERA leaders in the American League, it's Skubal, Ronel Blanco, and then it's Valdez. So you could have all 3 of them pitching at some point in this wild card series. So that just shows the pitching.
Here's the thing. Scott Bentley of the Locked On Tigers podcast just sent me a message. I was asking him who might go game 2 for the Tigers, and he said it's really hard to say. He said all year or the second half of the season, they've been doing bullpen days after that starter. So he said there's a good chance that it might not even be a starter on the second game for the Tigers. That's what I'm just telling you, that's what the Locked On Tigers host told me. So we'll see. We'll see what they have lined up.
Okay, let's see how that plays out for them, Cotton, or whatever that quote is from Dodgeball. Let's see how that plays out for them. But yeah, definitely interesting. They have some good starters. I know that they don't necessarily have the deep Astro staff that they do. By the way, Spencer Arrighetti, he looked pretty good out of the bullpen. So maybe that's the role they use for him. So if Arrighetti looks good out of bullpen, maybe that means that Verlander gets a chance in the rotation, not during the wild card series, but possibly during the ALDS, because you'll need some arms, especially if you have to use Blanco, because Blanco should be on short rest, available for at least Wednesday's game or even Tuesday's game to pitch a couple of innings. So that could be an option as well.
Also, before we go, Alvarez update, he's supposed to take a BP tomorrow. That's a big sign. That's like the latest news. And so if he takes BP, he could be a late minute addition to the wild card roster, and he could be in there. I think if he goes in though in the wild card DH, if they're not comfortable with him starting in game, at least he's on the bench to come in as a pinch hitter. But that is definitely a good sign. That is not something that I just don't think any of us have been sure of what actually is going to be happening with him. And if Yordan, if they were to say, okay, Yordan's done for the playoffs, that would be like, okay, whoa, like that would be earth shattering news. But the Astros have to play who's up. They have to play next man up. And so Yordan's supposed to take BP tomorrow. That is definitely a good sign.
Also, some breaking news is that ABC will be hosting. Well, I don't know if it's breaking news, but ABC will be hosting the series, so you'll be able to watch them even if you don't have cable. You can still watch the Astros take on the Tigers. So this is definitely going to be an interesting matchup for those of y'all just joining us. We have 307 in the chat right now, but it's going to be a 1:32 start for each one of the games. So that's an interesting start time, but whatever. So this could be a tough matchup. I think the Astros will prevail. Will they win in the first two games? I don't know, but if we have to have anybody in game 3, it would be Kikuchi with what he's done with the Houston Astros this year. I just think that that's just a great matchup. So I think the Astros have the better overall rotation. The Tigers may have the better bullpen, the better overall pitching stats, but I just think that with what the turnaround the Astros have done, I think that they are a legit World Series contender.
Definitely. I agree with you, man. It's been a great show. I'm looking forward to the series preview tomorrow night with our guy, Chris Castellani, old friend of the show, and Scott Bentley of Locked On Tigers. It's going to be action-packed. So I'm excited about that. And as always, Eric,
go Stros, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, and we'll definitely enjoy his preview and an interesting matchup. AJ Hinch versus Joe Espada. We'll see you tomorrow. Go Stros.